Chapter 10 Miranda. I walked to the campsite humming Lauren Daigle's Look Up Child. I needed to soak in the words of worship, to spend time with God and pray for my family. Last night, Naomi started an argument with me about Edward's family being in our kitchen that morning. I could see her point, but it didn't merit her heated words. Over the years, she has been the most likely to be negative about the campsite. During our disagreement, I tried to point out the benefits it brought, but she wasn't in a mood to listen, and definitely not in a mood to back down. The sting of her words took me by surprise, which meant I didn't respond as graciously as I should have. I paused among the trees, softly singing the chorus, Look Up, Child. I gazed upwards at the branches, reaching for life and light. Looking up stopped me from looking in. Looking up brought a smile and a deep inhale and exhale. Traces of white clouds drifted overhead, clearing the way for the sun to warm us and bless us with another beautiful day in Eden Cove. One more deep breath, then I made my way to the campsite. As soon as I got home, I would apologise to Naomi. I didn't notice the camper standing outside the office until I was a few feet from the building. She didn't return my smile. Her arms were crossed and her foot tapped the ground. Inside, I sighed and kept my smile firmly fixed in place. Good morning. Isn't it a beautiful morning? No, it is not. We've had a terrible night. I'm sorry to hear that. Please come into the office and tell me what's wrong. I dreaded her impeding tirade. As soon as we entered the building, the onslaught began. We were bitten by mosquitoes last night. Why are there mosquitoes here? I opened my mouth to respond, but she didn't let me get a word in. And then the birds began chirping at a ridiculously early hour. We were only just getting back to sleep when other campers started unzipping tents and making breakfast, and the shower had barely any pressure when I used it. What kind of campsite are you running here? I looked at the woman, trying with all my might to stop myself from laughing, especially when my head decided it was an opportune time to replace the words of who let the dogs out with who let the mosquitoes out. Now was not the time for flippancy. Perhaps this was her first time camping. How could she possibly hold me responsible for the local wildlife? She was staring at me, her eyes wide open. I guessed it was my turn to speak. I do apologise that you've had an unsettled night. Regarding mosquitoes and birds, I'm powerless. The insects are becoming more of an issue with the rising temperatures. I can only recommend buying insect repellent when you're out and about today. Before I could continue, she grabbed the conversation back. Oh, we won't be staying here another night. I want a full refund. I took a deep breath, counted to 10 in my head. I am unable to give you a full refund. I held up my hand before she could resume shouting at me. That's campsite policy. However, I am willing to reimburse you for 50% of your stay. But we've only stayed one night and will not put up with this for another 3 nights. We will be leaving as soon as we are packed. Yes, I understand. However, it is high season and cancellation rules apply. She almost threw her bank card at me. This is outrageous. Apply the refund now. I put the refund through, handed her the card and smiled. I'm sorry if you've not enjoyed your stay. The door slammed behind her. I slumped down in the office chair. What a way to start the day. I opened the Bible app on my phone and searched for peace in the Psalms. When I heard the door open a few minutes later, my stomach clenched. Had she returned to complain about something else? I exhaled a sigh of relief at seeing Lewis. Lewis, I'm so glad it's you. I've just had an unsettling start to my day. Lewis looked out at the campsite. The family who arrived yesterday afternoon? I nodded. He grimaced. I noticed them when I got back to the caravan last night. The man and woman were arguing, and they were drawing a lot of attention from other campers. I wasn't sure if I should go over and quieten things down, but then the man stormed off. Whatever she was annoyed about, it wasn't this campsite. I guess you never know what other people are going through. Hearing the couple had been arguing lessened my frustration at the women and reminded me to pray for them. However, by early afternoon, my annoyance factor was up again. A 1-star review was staring at me from our website review section, and the comments reference mosquitoes, birds, and inferior water pressure. I walked back to the house, the stupid ditty about mosquitoes stuck in my head. Despite the silly song, I felt ruffled by the woman's 1-star review. Hopefully the mention of birds and insects would reassure visitors it wasn't actually an issue with the campsite. It was a welcome relief to walk into the garden. The colourful blooms surrounding the lawn instantly cheered me, the playful white and lemon of the daisies bringing a smile to my lips. The other welcome sight was seeing Mum sitting at the garden table with a teapot, 2 mugs and a packet of biscuits. "Is one of those for me?" I asked as I approached the table. Benji remained lying under the table, but his tail wagged backwards and forwards as I approached. I reached down and patted his head. "Of course." She poured the tea while I sat across from her. "Hard day?" she asked, as I closed my eyes and held my head in my hands. She placed a mug of tea in front of me. The aroma of Earl Grey lifted my senses. So ridiculously British to feel better at the mere whiff of tea. "Yes, I've had an unhappy customer experience today, and after the argument with Naomi last night, I'm feeling slightly overwhelmed." "Miranda, you're too busy. You need to take life more slowly." "Mum, She shook her head and stopped my pat answer. I lifted the packet of lemon biscuits and offered one to Mum before helping myself, the tangy sweetness reviving my flagging energy. There's just a lot going on right now. I love my life, but some things are out of kilter, like Naomi stressing about her reset and her annoyance at me with the campsite. There have been a few issues on the campsite this summer, and then there's Joshua. Will he ever figure out what he wants to do? Your recovery and the worry over Kevin's job. As soon as I completed the list, I realised I'd said too much. "Kevin's job?" asked Mum. I forgot we hadn't told anyone. "Sorry, we decided not to tell anyone yet. We wanted to wait until we had more information. Please don't say anything to Naomi or Joshua, although we probably should tell them now." Mum nodded. With a sigh, I continued. "Maybe it would be helpful to share my worries. The college is talking about redundancies again. Should Kevin lose his job, the campsite income becomes crucial. But I don't think the campsite could sustain us, in which case we need to move to somewhere Kevin could find work." Mum shuffled forwards in her seat. "Miranda, you live life at the fastest pace you can. You always have. And I'm sure you always will. And that includes letting your thoughts race ahead of reality. Sometimes you need to slow down and breathe." A warm breeze stirred the flowers into a swaying rhythm, bringing the gentle swoosh of moving stems and carrying the scent of summer flowers. We both looked at the flowers surrounding us. "Look at how the flowers move in the breeze," continued Mum. "Does your life adapt to your surroundings, or do you lean into Jesus and find his rhythm? Maybe it's not so much about you being too busy, rather it's about finding the sustainable rhythm." I sat back in my chair, raising my steepled hands to my mouth, considering Mum's words. Mum is often critical of my busy life, but I love all the things I get to do and be part of, activities that connect me with friends, neighbours and the community. But today her words offered comfort and perhaps more understanding for the life I lead. I closed my eyes, wondering what it would look like to lean into Jesus' rhythm for my life. It was something to consider. And a reminder to give my cares and worries about Kevin's job to Jesus. Not that it was easy for me to release my concerns, but maybe tonight I would seek a quiet space to talk to Jesus about it. But before I tackled anything else, I wanted to talk to Naomi and clear the air. I was surprised she wasn't sitting with Mum. "Is Naomi here?" "No, she left for a cycle with Lewis just before you got home." Mum laughed. My mouth dropped open. At least some things were going well. With Naomi out and Mum ready for her afternoon nap, maybe now was the time to be still and be with Jesus. I was in the middle of making dinner when Naomi arrived home, a glow of colour on her cheeks and the smell of summer on her skin. "Mum!" "Naomi!" Our smiles met as our words overlapped. She rushed over and hugged me. "I'm so sorry I was all stroppy about the campsite last night." I took her hand and led her over to the kitchen table. "I'm sorry too. And I'm sorry I've made you feel as if the campsite comes before you. I promise it doesn't." She shook her head. No, I see that. Gran told me. Lewis told me. I guess I've let the stress of my resit get to me more than I realised. I stroked her hair back from her face. I'm so sorry, Naomi. You've never failed an exam in your life, and I know this feels huge, but you'll get it. You had a stressful semester. Something was bound to give. I laughed as I realised where this conversation was going. You know, Gran's just been talking to me about my thoughts rushing ahead of what's actually going on. It probably applies to you too. Naomi smiled and leaned into my side. This is one blip. I know you'll pass your exam next month, and next year you'll soar as you face your finals and your future. But for now, take a deep breath and be still. As we enjoyed our moment of peace, the words of the old hymn, "It is well with my soul," echoed in my mind. I had spent a wonderful hour in my room. I'd indulged in a short nap, listened to some worship music, then listened to a podcast. The afternoon had brought a beautiful contentment. And now this time with Naomi added to the blessing of my day. The bad review forgotten. I had much to be grateful for. And then a thought struck me. You know, I've been out wild swimming a couple of times. She nodded. Why don't you come with me the next time I go? I'm not sure, Mum. It's been a while since I've done any serious swimming. Me too. Others in the group are faster and go further than me, but I'm not the slowest either. Why don't you come? It will be fun doing something together. Doesn't Sarah go with you? And didn't Dad say he was going to try it? I leaned in towards her. I don't think your dad will actually join me. And Sarah is a lot better than me. If you come, she can enjoy swimming with some of the others. What do you think? She paused for a moment and then smiled. Sure, why not? I'll give it a go. As I rose from the table, the Whitney Houston song, "I Want to Dance with Somebody," came on the radio. I grinned at Naomi. She shook her head. No, Mum, don't start singing. I walked to the fridge to retrieve the ingredients for dinner. And as I did, I sang, "Oh, I want to swim with Naomi. I want to do some strokes with Naomi. Yeah, I want to swim with Naomi." Oh, Mum, stop turning everything into a song. I turned around and winked. She was already laughing as she walked into the hall.